Eyup, we're doing his championship predictions for game week 2. Absolute stinker last week. No bangers. Yeah, I was crap last week. I got 4 teams' results right in terms of like Leicester, Charlton, Southampton, and West Brom. But there are a lot of dodgy scorelines going on. Obviously, the Sheffield United one speaks for itself. Portsmouth winning away. Oxford were quite strange. Hull got a point at Cov. But let's get in there for week 2, which is Derby and Cov to get us going. Obviously, Derby lost 3-1 away at Stoke, despite being 1-0 up with Callum Morris' nice goal. Coventry 0-0 at home to Stoke. I'm not going to lie, I didn't even watch highlights. If it's 0-0, I seriously couldn't care less. Obviously, in Cup midweek, Derby have gone to West Brom and won on penalties, and Coventry won at home to Luton. So despite really poor starts in the league, especially for Cov, you'd expected them to win at home to Hull. They've both got a winning cup at least now. It's quite a toughie to get us going, that, you know. Derby at home, last season weren't as good as they normally are. I do think Pride Park, generally, regardless of league, is quite an hard place to go. Last season, not so much. They went through a certain spell, it might have been before Eustace come in, where Derby were just losing quite a lot of games at home. I think they lost 8 out of 10 at one point. And that's just not like them at all. I always expect them to be hard to go and win it. And I do think that might be the case with Eustace now. He's got his feet under the table a little bit. They only lost 1 out of the last 6 at home, in fairness, Derby. Towards the back end of last season, obviously. They won 3 of them, drew 2. Their only loss were to Luton, but they only conceded 2 goals in the last 6. So they might have got over that little hump now, and they'll be harder to break down. As for Cov, can't say I were impressed, like, stats-wise either. Obviously, like I said, I didn't watch the game against Hull, so I couldn't care less. But the stats didn't really spark me with much confidence. Plus the fact that Derby had place to go. Plus the Lampard aspect as well. I do think that could have a bit of spice with it as well. I don't know what reception he get at Derby, really. I know going to playoffs and after the Leeds thing, they might like him. But ultimately, they didn't go up and they had a really good side. I might play safe and go for a draw. Boring, but I'll go 1-1 to get us going, Derby Cov. I wonder if Derby actually take that. I think Cov would, really. Pumping Norwich next. Now, obviously coming off back of a 2-1 loss at home to Millwall, Norwich. I'm telling you, the defensive issues are definitely still there. Like, it's obviously going to take time to adjust that. They want Doyle back, don't they? They've had on loan before, but they're one of about over 4 teams that want him. I think there's Norwich, Leicester, Cov, and Wrexham that are all after that centre back. But he's very good. £7 million price tag. It's quite a lot to ask for, but it's worth it when you've got the money that Norwich have. And obviously, the defensive side of things is still a problem, despite new manager and new defenders. It's going to take time, definitely. And Portsmouth, I think, are going to give you quite a similar game that what Millwall will. Just quite horrible and scrappy. Bit of an eyesore. But Portsmouth have come off back of a 1-0 win away at Oxford. Now, their away form is what let them down last season, Pompey. But still survived comfortably on the first season back. And their own form was outstanding. I do think that will probably carry on here. I do like Norwich, and I think they've got an outside shot at playoffs with some attacking players that they've got, definitely. And the manager in Manning now. But Pompey at home are very, very good. They only lost twice at home since November in league, Portsmouth, and it were to Plymouth and Millwall. So against better sides like Norwich, you'd expect, I think they'll be fine here. I think Portsmouth, fairly comfortable win. They don't go and slap anybody up either at home. It's a lot of 2-1s, 2-0s. Apart from earlier in the season, they had an odd couple like 4-3. But once they got settled, as teams sort of figured them out a little bit and knew what the game plan were, the scores were a lot tighter. I think that'll be the same here because Norwich are a good team, and they offer a lot going forward. So I think Norwich will score, but I think it's just most bog standard, most common result in football, 2-1 Portsmouth, 2-1 home win. Wrexham and the Baggies up next. Wrexham off back, obviously beating Hull in Cup midweek. They were 3-1 down at home. Ollie Palmer come and scored twice, and then they ended up winning on penalties. West Brom lost at home to Derby. Looking at first league games, yes, Wrexham lost 2-1 to Southampton, so a narrow result. But they did get absolutely annihilated in terms of shots on target. Every stat there is, Southampton could have come away 5-1 winners and it wouldn't have looked out of place. And West Brom didn't create loads and loads, but were fairly comfortable winners 1-0 at home to Blackburn. Very tough one again to call. My instinct does just say draw, because I think Wrexham at their place will be very tough to beat. I think they might be like Portsmouth last season. Away from home, could definitely see him getting annihilated a few times. I think they were lucky to get away with that scoreline away at Southampton. But at home, they're very hard to break down. Defensively quite good. West Brom have got a lot of very creative players as well. I think the whip's very good. They've got Mowat at middle at Park. They've got goals from a fair few different areas. But I think they might just cancel each other out defensively here. To a point where I'm debating a 0-0, really. Oh, I don't want to do that, though. It's just a bit disgusting, innit? Oh, I'm just going to go what the brain is telling me. I'm going Wrexham 0, West Brom 0. It's boring. I'm sorry I've not said 6 apiece. But I think we're looking at a 0-0 there with Wrexham, West Brom. Blackburn and Birmingham. Now, obviously the opening game I did a watch-along for with Birmingham Ipswich, and I thought they were outstanding, Birmingham, at certain parts. It was quite a scrappy game, but they had the odd bit of quality that you would probably expect more from Ipswich. Now, I thought Birmingham would win that game. I said 2-1 in my predictions. And I think they were unlucky for it to not be that. I think the first goal that got disallowed for Kyogo were a disgrace, if I'm being honest. I do think by letter at law, the handball isn't handball, as harsh as it is. But I think Birmingham should have won that game 2-1. And Kyogo, I think, what did he touch ball 13 times? Every time he got on it, I was frightened from Ipswich's defence's point of view because he is shit hot. Obviously, further it goes, Birmingham are just going to strengthen more and more. The depth that they've got is outrageous. And Blackburn, even though they only lost 1-0 to West Brom, they didn't even lay a glove on them. One shot on target all game. They created next to no against a Birmingham side that, obviously, they deserve to win, like I said, but they're also playing probably the only team that could finish above them in Ipswich. And despite them being quite poor, Ipswich are going to be one of the best sides in this division easily. They're going to be rated top. Blackburn will not be. I think they will get a lot more freedom against someone like Blackburn. They've obviously, if Blackburn do sit 10 men behind ball and just try and play on counters, Birmingham were doing that every single week last year in League One, so they're used to it. They can play so many different ways. I think they will run out comfortable, easy 2-0 winners, I'd say. I don't worry for Blackburn, really, in that sense, in terms of like, oh, they're going to be right down dwelling at bottom. But Birmingham are just that good. I think they will come and it'll be a breeze for them. 2-0 Birmingham. Bristol City and Charlton. Now, very, very good wins for both sides. Bristol City, obviously, top table after the first game. They went to Sheffield United away and battered them 4-1. Charlton, on the first game back in Championship for a number of years, won 1-0 at home to Watford. I think that's the only result I actually got bang on. And we'll talk about Bristol City first, and mainly Struber, because you're going to be playing two very contrasting sides here in terms of what to expect and what Charlton are going to play like in comparison to Sheffield United. Sheffield United, you could press very easily because of the defensive mishaps that they were doing. They had Norwich and Davis stood at centre-half. They were pushing the wing-backs really far up and didn't have a defensive midfielder to sort of play the stopgap between defence and midfield and to sort of make a free at back. Bindon were effectively defending on himself, and Bristol City took advantage of that. The thing with Struber, as a Barnsley fan and someone who saw his football every week, he's very good at changing the style of play week by week. Bristol City have got a miles better team than what we had, and he overachieved with us just by keeping us up. Bristol City, playing someone like Charlton, I think they will break them down. Like Charlton at home, I think will be outstanding this season. Similar to Wrexham, I think they'll be, and similar to Portsmouth last season, they're an easier case study to say. They'll be hard to break down, they'll be hard to score against, they'll play off set pieces. But away from home, against a side that's very diverse with Bristol City, and how they can play, as we'll see through season with Struber, I think they will lose this game. I'd back Bristol City here for a win. Charlton obviously did well first game to win, but it will take time to gel with the amount of new players that they've brought in. Bristol City have only brought odd little bit here and there. It's quite a settled team. And I think they will win 2-1 because of it. So I'll have an home win. Bristol City. Millwall! It's Millwall at home to Middlesbrough. Millwall obviously 2-1 winners away at Norwich first game. They've not won there since 60s, I believe. Very good start, setting tone there. Middlesbrough were 1-0 winners against Swansea, but very, very limited quality on show. They then got absolutely arseholed, start to finish, by Donny at home in Cup. Middlesbrough have lost 4-0 at home to Doncaster Rovers, who changed their entire team. Now, Millwall at Den are hard to break down. Again, I'm not going to say it again. They're very hard to break down, Millwall. They're defensively solid. That's what you'd expect from Millwall and Alex Neil as a combination. Ugh. But they're also looking quite fluid going forward, which that must be the first time anybody's ever said that about Millwall. But they could have put a few more past Norwich and it wouldn't have looked out of place. The only time that Millwall's net were bothered was Sargent pressing keeper. That were it. Other than that, Millwall were a better side, start to finish, created better chances. And that's against a much harder side than what Middlesbrough are. I think at Den, being first home game and the win away first game, I think crowd's going to be up for it big time. Against a Middlesbrough side that's going to be low on confidence. Rob Edwards still not got a lot of players in that he wants. And after getting annihilated by Donny 4-0 midweek, I'm definitely fancying a Millwall win. And I will give him a 3-1. Because I think Middlesbrough have still got a threat going forward. But defensively, I think they'll shit the pants. Especially off set pieces and stuff like that. Millwall are an aggressive side, as you'd expect. I'm thinking 3-1 Millwall. Preston and Leicester up next. Preston obviously got a draw away at QPR, which I think they've done well there with the lack of finances and just players in general. The more that it's going on this window, and Hecky's interview where he's saying about the lack of money that they've got, I'm slightly worried for him. But Leicester, obviously, they won 2-1 against Wednesday on Sky, and it could have been 6 or 7. But at the same time, first half, when Wednesday just had a fairly... Well, it were a crap starting 11 for Championship standard. And Wednesday were a better side. They went in 1-0 up at half-time. They were comfortably a better team. And yes, Wednesday had Charles in net, or man at match, I would say. But Leicester really struggled with that in first half. And I know it's like you've got to get accustomed to it again with a different league and different style of football to what they were getting in Premier League. But Preston will probably give him same sort of level as the first half that Wednesday did, which makes me think that Leicester won't just run out here and take pace easily. But at the end of the day, Leicester did win. There were 2-1 winners, and like I said, in second half, it could have been 5 or 6 alone in that bit. But it weren't. Do you know what I mean? It's alright saying if much than maybes, but I'm doing absolutes right now. And I think Leicester will still win, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it'll be really, really comfortable. I think it'll be quite edgy. Maybe another late one like they did against Wednesday. But the quality that Leicester have got in terms of depth and bench in comparison to Preston, who've let loads of players go, not brought loads in to really offset that just yet. I think Leicester's subs will probably make the difference like they did with the Wednesday game. I will go away win, narrow. I'll go 1-0 Leicester. Speak of the devil, Wednesday at home to Stoke. Now, little Baz got a red card, didn't he? But he's going to have lost that in the Bolton game midweek. So he'll be available for this game against Stoke, unfortunately for Wednesday fans, because he's shit. And like I said, I really do think they had a good go against Leicester. First half, they were better side. But second half, it was clear that they'd not had a proper pre-season. They weren't conditioned enough. The squad depth's awful. Because first half, and again, the starting 11, even though it's like, it's okay, it's still shit in terms of championship standard. It's not like end of world from Wednesday's perspective. It's the bench that's awful. It's a load of kids. It's a load of unknown. And I know like that comes with its own benefits because these kids have got naught to lose that are going to get a chance. It's like you can go and make a name for yourself, and if you don't, well, sorry, you got an excuse because you're just a kid that shouldn't be getting this chance anyway. But I think the more games that go on at start of season, because they're coming thick and fast, aren't they? You got Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday straight away off bat, off rip. We are a pre-season at a much higher intensity than what it would be in a pre-season game. You can't just take all team off at 60 minutes, can you, in a chuffing league game? I think they will lose the first probably like 4 or 5 games, and this is no different. Stoke obviously went 1-0 down to Derby, like we said, but they did pull it back and win 3-1, and that's with players like Donnelly and Sorba Thomas and that coming off bench, who ended up setting up and scoring winner. I think bench will just win them game again. I don't think it'll be an absolute onslaught because I thought that were going to be the case with Leicester. But I could see first half being fairly even again. But then once you get to 60, 70 and Wednesday's tired legs and you're bringing kids on that nobody's ever heard of and Baz gets sent off again, I think Stoke will just run out 2-0 winners. Wednesday 0, Stoke 2. Swansea and Sheffield United. Swansea obviously lost 1-0 away at Middlesbrough first game. They did beat Crawley 3-1 midweek and Sheffield United got arseholed by Bristol City. Since then, Sheffield United, at the time of me recording this, have not brought in one player. I don't know what is going on. The defensive side of things there is awful. They've got Norrington Davis and Bindon and Robinson. Who's not only is Robinson crap, but he's also a knob and he's on about being linked to Wrexham. He's the second choice if they don't get Doyle. But how he's going to get that move, I've no idea because he's crap. The tactical shape from Sellers is very attacking. They want to be on front foot. But at the minute, they've not got the midfielder to sort of play the sweeping role that Vinny Souza would. And they've not got a defender that can stand next to Bindon. So it's Bindon on himself with about 5 men running at him. And obviously that ended up with 4 goals in back of the net in first game. Swansea, again, quite tactically switched on. Same as Bristol City. And I do think they will just pick holes in Sheffield United quite easily. Obviously, it's only Wednesday at the time we're recording this. I'm posting it today anyway. But they've not signed another player, Sheffield United. So it's same crop of lads that are probably just going to do the same thing against another similar level side in Swansea to what Bristol City were at Swansea. I'm expecting Sheffield United to probably change it up a little bit, but I still think Swansea will win here. And I watched this game last season. Swansea had a worse side. Sheffield United had a much better one. Swansea were a better team by a mile, but Sheffield United pluckily won game, which they did quite a lot last season. This time, I don't think they will be as lucky. I think we're looking at back-to-back quite heavy goals conceded for Sheffield here. I will go, I think I've said this a couple of times today, I will go 3-1 to home side. Swansea 3, Sheffield United 1. Watford and QPR. Oh, God, I don't like this already. Watford 2 games, 2 losses. 1-0 away at Charlton first game and then a 2-1 loss at home to Norwich in Cup. Like, I got a lot of pelters, obviously from Watford fans for saying that I think they'll get relegated. But 3 teams have got to go down, and when you look at them team for team against a lot of sides, like Charlton first game, quite an even game, to be fair. And Charlton are going to be hard to break down. But they lost 1-0 to a Nathan Jones, just smash and grab like normal. QPR are heavily linked with Kone. They've not announced him right now. But they've got a front 4 of Poku, Karamoko Dembele, Elias Chair and Kone. That is frightening. I would be shitting my jocks if I were a Watford fan. Especially with their defence, because I'm not convinced on it at all. Watford have got to surely play on the home factor a little bit, but for the last 20 games last season, they were bottom at league. So I really don't know why I'm getting that much stick, really, for saying that I think they'll get relegated. But I'm not fancying them for a win here either. It's got to be said. I think the flair and just attacking threat that QPR have got going forward genuinely terrifies me. I don't think they can be good at defensively. Don't get me wrong. I don't think QPR are some perfect side. I still think they'll finish in and around mid-table, pushing top half at most, really. But I think they'll get something here, just with goal threat. They obviously drew 1-1 with Preston at home first game. I think they will come and get something here as well, similar. I will go Watford 1, QPR 1. Ooh, that's a game. Ipswich and Southampton, 12 o'clock on Sunday. And it's that good, I'm going to do a watch-along for it. 10 to 12 on Sunday, I'll be live watching that. And I'll tell you what, it's very hard to call. The Ipswich home factor, like, you can't really ignore. But they were worst side against Birmingham, and then they've obviously lost 2-1 to Bromley midweek. Well, they lost on penalties to Bromley. And obviously Ipswich changed a lot of the side. I'm not saying it's the perfect 11 that's going to be playing and losing to a League 2 team. But it's still worrying a little bit from like a psychological point of view. Like that, it can't help. I know, like, obviously players can put it to the back of the mind really quickly, as you've got to in football. But to lose, like, obviously to be worst side against Birmingham first game, and you'll promote a League 1 team, regardless of whether they're one of favourites, and then to lose to Bromley in Cup, you're thinking, I don't really want to play Southampton next. I'd rather play someone like chuffing Preston or something, you know what I mean? It's an hard one to call this. Obviously in this fixture last year, so what it were February, weren't it? I believe it was fairly early into the second half of the season when fixtures come back round, and I thought it's a real chance for Ipswich to really get going here because they had the best chance of staying up, and they lost 2-1 at home, and I think Ipswich had a much better side last year in comparison to Southampton. Now Southampton have still got the thing where they've got a few players that have been linked outwards, like that Fernandes, for example, Diblin. Whereas Ipswich seem quite settled now. The only one that's being held up is Broadhead to Wrexham. But I don't think it'll take them long to get switched on again, like Ipswich. Southampton, both of these two are going to be like top 4, definitely. Two very good sides. I'm expecting a really good game. And I'm expecting goals, to be fair. Because even Wrexham got at Southampton. Ipswich have got a lot more going forward. And, well, Southampton have got a lot going forward as well. And Ipswich could clearly be got at. Both defences look quite weak here from the first couple of games. But going forward, I'm expecting quite a lot. And I will go with a Desmond because of it. I will go Ipswich 2, Southampton 2, but I do think it'll be a corker there. Hull versus Oxford to see it out. Hull, well, they did really well to get a point away at Coventry first game. They obviously lost despite being 3-1 up away at Wrexham midweek. And Oxford lost 1-0 first game, didn't they? At home to Portsmouth, that surprised me. But straight off bat, I'm just feeling scrappy 0-0 draw here. Like straight away. Oxford have still got a slight problem going forward. Like defensively and in Middle Park, I actually thought they were quite good last year, but they lacked a serious 9. I still think they're in the same boat from that perspective. Whereas Hull are making odd little good signing here and there. Like McBurney's going to be good. Like I know Sheffield United fans aren't that keen on him really. Every time he's been in this division, McBurney with Barnsley, Swansea, Sheffield United and now Hull, he has scored or will score goals. So I think that's a good pickup. But I do think Oxford will probably turn up for a draw. Like very raw, very Millwall in it. I think they'll rock up for a 0-0. Just sit all men behind ball and try and spring a counter. But I won't be surprised with 0-0, so I'll stick that on. But that's that. Thank you very much. Make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy. Boys, girls, everything else. Love you all. Kiss, and I'll see you in a bit.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.